the overall argument seems to assume that evolution could induce moral beliefs selectively, which were in fact unsupported by any evidence or any reason, and obviously leaving the rest of our rationality intact, because you're not disputing the fact that we know a whole bunch of things and we're generally rational and so on. But as you say yourself, now quoting from your paper, we're capable of holding any given value up for reflective scrutiny and rejecting it if we think rejection warranted. So even when it comes to values, you think, well, they're not entirely insulated from the rest of our rational capacities. We can and do reflect rationally on whether we ought to hold this belief or that belief. Even if it was evolutionarily advantageous to hold a false moral belief, wouldn't our general capacity to reason on the basis of evidence provide some countervailing or counteracting force to that? So suppose it was, just take another example entirely, suppose it, for some reason we needn't get into, it was evolutionary advantageous for people in the kind of situation that I'm in to believe that a tiger was before them, never mind why.
Sorry, a tiger was before.
Yeah, a tiger, for some reason, it's advantageous for me in this kind of situation to believe that a tiger is before me. Even if that were true, presumably evolution would have a hard time producing a creature with such a tendency, because if the creature had regular capacities for rationality in other domains, it just wouldn't believe that in this situation that the tiger was before it. It would see, okay, there isn't. So
right.
It's only if you got some really stupid creature could you get one who believed that a tiger was before it, but then that creature would have all sorts of other evolutionary disadvantages.
Issues, right? They'd be panicking for no reason, essentially. Yeah. So actually, and this is one thing it's good to emphasize is, so as you and your students may have noticed, the paper in that collection talks about, it doesn't really talk specifically or exclusively about our moral values in themselves. It talks about values in general. And and this isn't something I speak to explicitly, but some of those values that I give as examples aren't really necessarily ones that we typically think of as moral but they're things about what a good life consists in for an individual. Like, does it include screaming constantly, or does it include doing cartwheels? And so my view actually is, and this isn't in the piece at all, I actually think these same arguments go through for philosophers sometimes talk about normativity, or anyway, evaluative claims across the board. So I have a paper on what philosophers call epistemic normativity, so reasons for belief. Mm-hmm. And it's a big, argument to try to explain in what sense I think realism about epistemic normativity is defeated in the same way. One really, really quick way to try to explain it is that I completely, so a creature that, sort of sees that all previous tigers have been carnivorous, and then infers, oh, this one is too. Roughly how I'd explain the basic idea is that I think there are real facts about tigers and about the percentage of tigers who are carnivorous, which is 100%. But the debate about normativity or evaluative judgment is about this counting in favor relation. Mm-hmm. And basically my view is that the fact that all previous tigers were carnivorous, the claim that that's a normative reason for a creature to change one of their attitudes in a certain way, that deserves a mind-dependent understanding, that counting in favor of
Right,
relationship.
right.
But there's a lot to talk about there. But essentially, another way of putting it, sort of the bottom line, is that I don't think, I mean, part of it depends on what do we mean by rationality, but I don't think that rationality provides sort of a uncontaminated tool from which to sort of sort some substantive normative reasons out from some substantive normative claims out from others. Yeah, if people are interested, there's a section in a Darwinian dilemma for realist theories of value that talks a bit about this objection.
I will include a link to that.